If you could be remembered for bringing the first of something to your country, what would you choose? Something that enhances your people, bringing education, knowledge and understanding? Or an instrument of torture so notorious that 300 years later it's still a byword for extracting confessions today? Or both? If you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen. And if you enjoy the video, then like it, share it, and watch the next one. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. Have you ever heard the expression to put the screws on somebody? The police put the screws on him till he confessed. The company put the screws on them to lower their prices. The boss put the screws on you to work overtime. Or is that an expression that only old boomers like me recognise? Does anyone under 60 watch these videos? Let me know in the comment section. But to find out where this expression comes from, I've brought you to the ruins of the 13th century Bishop's Palace in Dunblane. Now, our guy was no Bishop of Dunblane, but somebody later in the story will be. That guy didn't live in this palace. It was a ruin hundreds of years before him, but look, maybe I just tell you the story. It's about William Drummond, 1st Viscount of Strathallan. He was youngest son of a Perthshire baron, so he was probably going to do a bit of fighting. Younger sons either went into the military or the church. And we've already established that the church wasn't his future. Being born in the early 17th century was really convenient for folks seeking a military career, because it meant that he was an adult just as Charles I was upsetting the Covenanters and starting the wars that led to him getting the chop. It was the perfect time to be a soldier, just so long as you chose the right side. And then switch sides once or twice as the wind blew. And maybe flee abroad to serve in some other European nation's military. You get the idea. Anyway, Drummond did a bit of that. He was a royalist who supported Charles I until... In fact, William Drummond was in London to watch the preparations for Charles's execution. But the next day, he headed for the continent. Better safe than sorry. Scots were appalled at the execution of a king and straight away recognised his son Charles as the new King Charles II, the last British monarch to be crowned at Scone. I made a video about that. You should watch it. So, he hooked up with Charles II on the continent and loyally supported him when he came back to Scone to be crowned, then when he marched south with the Scottish army. In fact, our boy Drummond commanded a brigade at the final Battle of Worcester, where he was taken prisoner. But he managed to escape and headed over to the continent again. After a while, he came back across the Channel and landed at Yarmouth. He was involved in a rising against the Cromwellian government, which was a bit of a disaster. And another cross-channel ferry awaited him. It was all a bit of a nightmare, but not as much of a nightmare as being tortured with the thumbscrews. Thumbscrews were essentially a small vice just big enough to fit your fingers into. The vice was tightened with a screw. Sometimes there were studs on the inside that would stick into your skin. But even if not, then the pressure would build on your flesh, and then as it tightens, it would crush your bones. The outer compact cortical bone would crack, and pressure would continue to the marrow inside. And all right, I did it. Where did this form of torture come from? Well, I've seen some comments that they were discovered on the ships of the Spanish Armada. presumably coming from the land of the Inquisition to get the truth out of apostate Protestants. I'm not sure about that one. Nobody expects a Spanish Inquisition. There's talk of them being used to gain the confession of alleged rapists in Tuscany, or witches in 16th century Britain. Thumbikins was the name used. Sounds kind of cute, doesn't it? Thumbikins. Sounds like the kind of thing that your granny would knit for you at Christmas, and the real torture was having to wear them to pretend to her that you were actually interested. But the Armada and witch trials were before our guy William Drummond was born. What happened to him, I hear you ask? Well, after the whole Battle of Worcester debacle, Charles II was in exile. Soldiering for him wasn't really an option. So Charles gave William Drummond permission to go as an officer to another military service. Now, Drummond was pally with another Scotsman that I made a video about. The Scotsman who played Satan at cards. His name was Tam Dael. And in 1655, the two of them headed off to work for the Tsar of Russia. They apparently served with distinction in the Muscovite army. But when Charles was restored to the British thrones, he wanted them back. Now, this period of Charles's restoration was where Covenanting Presbyterians in Scotland faced a backlash. Ministers thrown out of churches, forced to take an oath of allegiance or preach in the fields. It led to what's known as the Killing Times. Charles made William Drummond Major General of the forces in Scotland. It's said of him that he was a severe disciplinarian. He had yet too much of the air of Russia about him. Drummond and Dael were both prominent in persecuting the Covenanters on behalf of Charles II and his brother James. Now, in 1683, there was a plot to murder Charles and James on their way home from a day at the Newmarket races. As it turns out, there was a fire at Newmarket that meant that the royal brothers came home early and the plot fell through. But investigations revealed letters between those involved and a guy called William Spence, who was secretary to Archibald Campbell, Earl of Argyll. A couple of years later, he got the choppy as well. In the meantime, Spence was arrested, brought back to Scotland and tortured for information using a new implement of torture. A legal author who wrote about the case at the time tells us that the Thumbikins was a new invention used amongst colliers upon transgressors and discovered by Generals Dael and Drummond, they having seen them used in Muscovy. The next year, a bishop at the time also tells us of an act of the Privy Council, whereas there is now a new invention and engine called the Thumbikins. The Lords of His Majesty's Council do therefore ordain that when any person shall be put to the torture, that the boots and the Thumbikins both be applied to them. The torture William Drummond brought back from Moscow was being put to good use. But he had another first to his name, and it's just down here. This is the Leighton Library in Dunblane. Now, on my annual big bumper birthday tour in September, folks get a free day before coming to see me perform a comedy show at night. Last September, some folks took the opportunity to walk down from a hotel at Dunblane Hydro, very nice, to visit this library. You might do that too if you come on that tour. Go to www.scotlandhistorytours.co.uk or email alexis@scotlandhistorytours.co.uk for details. Across from the library is this little piece of parkland. You can see from this plaque that William Drummond had a house here and he befriended Robert Leighton. Now, Robert Leighton was about 6 years older than our thumb-screwing soldier. They lived through the same times. The War of the Three Kingdoms to assert religious domination of Catholic, Presbyterian or Episcopalian and the competing rights of kings, bishops or the people. But these two men seem very different. Leighton did come from an old landed family from up Forfar way, but he was brought up Presbyterian and went on to be a minister. It seems that Oliver Cromwell himself supported the elevation of this parish minister to principal of Edinburgh University. But after Cromwell's death and the restoration of the monarchy, he was also trusted enough by Charles II's new regime to be appointed Bishop of Dunblane. This was an unusual guy in these divided times, a moderate who wanted to bring Presbyterians and Episcopalian sides together. The Presbyterian minister who became a bishop at a time when Presbyterians and Episcopalians were killing each other and finding new forms of torture. He was a bishop but lived modestly. We're told he chose Dunblane as his bishopric because it had the lowest stipend. His position carried Episcopalian pomp, but his life was one of Presbyterian austerity. In a period we call the killing times, this modest, scholarly, unifying, ecumenical bishop became friends with the most unlikely of chaps, a hardline career soldier who introduced a new form of torture to Scotland. Bishop Leighton lived soberly here in Dunblane, went on to become Bishop of Glasgow and then lived in quiet retirement with his sister in Sussex. He died on the 25th of June 1684, and when he did, he bequeathed his books and £100 to build a library back here in his old bishopric. This would be the first ever purpose-built library in Scotland. He wanted it to be plain, so as not to be a monument to himself. Who did his relatives ask to manage the construction of this library but Robert Leighton's friend and neighbour, William Drummond of Cromlicks, Viscount Strathallan? The thumbscrews guy! Leighton originally left £100 as well as many of the books here to build the library. In fact, the costs came to £162, 2 shillings and sixpence. William Drummond chipped in and sourced the furnishings for inside the library, including 12 leather chairs. This is one of 6 of them still in the library today. A 17th century description of the interior said that it was a room of convenient largeness and good lights and handsomely furnished with presses and shelves and some desks for reading at them and chairs and stools to sit on. Just like it is today, really. Leighton Library was and remains a national treasure, and yet is Dunblane's best kept secret. You can come here and visit, and in these wonderful surroundings, you'll find first editions of Rights of Man by Thomas Paine, Wealth and Nations by Adam Smith, Burns' first Edinburgh edition of poems chiefly in the Scottish dialect, books by David Hume, Adam Ferguson, Dugald Stewart, Kames, Rutherford and more. The oldest book is a 1504 book of Psalms written in Latin by a Hungarian cleric. Who doesn't want to read that? I don't think there are any books on thumbscrews right enough. I suppose, like all of us, William Drummond must have been a man of contradictions. Of the 2 things that he delivered to Scotland, I think I prefer this one. I've made videos about many other wonderful places and stories of Scotland. There's one coming up on screen now. You should watch it. If you've enjoyed this video, then please like it, share it, and watch the next one. In the meantime, ha mi an dóchas gwn bí lamali. Chéri an drasta.